All right, welcome back to my breakdown series. I'm Hyfudiar, and today I'll be breaking down my track, The Silent Orchestra. Also, as you've probably noticed, I fixed the resolution. It was somewhat better in the last two. I was able to, I think, almost double the resolution from where it was in the first one, but today I was able to get it to maximum resolution that my display supports, so should be a lot better. So this track is named The Silent Orchestra because it was made entirely with recordings from the Soma Ether, which is why the project file is named Soma. The Soma Ether is something that listens to electromagnetic frequencies that generally you don't want to listen to. It's why a lot of cables and stuff have shielding, is to block this electromagnetic interference. And the Soma Ether just picks up all of it and lets you listen to it. And you can pick up a lot of really interesting sounds. So the silent orchestra is sort of meant by, these are quote unquote sounds, not audible ones, but they're frequencies that are all around us all the time that we can't hear. And so I recorded them all and then made them into a song. I've had the Soma Ether for quite a while, and I've used it on stream a couple times, and it's possible I used some sample from it at some point in another track, but I had wanted to do a proper track around it, and that's what this track became. So I just walked around for a couple days recording anything I found. You can listen to lots of cool stuff with it, like blinking walk signals or automatic sliding doors. You can it has like a wireless sensor, but it also has two contacts that you can touch to something, and you can touch it to like a tree or a telephone pole, and you'll pick up some radio signals sometimes. So that's what this track is. Forms the kind of the beat of the track. I liked having it as something that connects the whole track and also kind of creates a tempo, but you can hear faintly in the background. There are these voices from the radio, and I recorded that like touching it to a telephone pole or something. So the way I've broken it up here, these two tracks are on through the entire track. This is on for half of it. That's on for half of it. These split it into 4 groups, so they're each on for half but split up. And then these split it into 8 sections, and each of them gets a quarter. And then these 6 tracks are mostly off. I made a chain, so one side of the chain gets completely blocked by a gate, and then the other goes through effects and whatnot, and then I have a random LFO that's selecting the chain selector. So you only hear it a small portion of the time to make it sound less cluttered and it's more impactful or interesting when you hear one of these. So there's not really, I can't like talk too much about any individual track because they're, I mean, they're all just like noise. But I'll play them individually for a second just so you can hear what they sound like separately. This first track, I'm not sure if it actually ended up in the final version of the track. It should have been, but when I opened the project file today, the track was disabled, so it may not have gotten in there. It sounds pretty cool. Kind of reminds me of the Metroid Fusion soundtrack, which is one of my favorite game soundtracks. Oh yeah, here's the beating. Not sure if I pitched that one down or not. A lot of these are pitched down because it picks up on a lot of very high frequencies that they might be technically audible, but it's like you can barely hear them, and pitching them down brings out a lot of these very high frequencies, so you can hear all of these things that you can't normally hear or otherwise just kind of sound like noise. Here's the next one. Oops. I think this one was pitched down. I really like this one. This sort of chugging already sounds cool without the doubler, and the doubler just adds this sort of, I don't know, sounds like a threat. I like it. This is another one I think I pitched down. It's not showing transposition in simpler. I'm not sure why that would be. Because it's the entire sample that's in here. So I'm not sure how it would be pitched down, but I'm pretty sure I did it for that one. Alright, well, so that's it for the sequenced ones. Now we'll get to the more random ones, which I think generally have more effects on them. Yeah, a bit more. I'll have to, let's see. Oh, I guess I can just drag this out. I think it sounds pretty cool. This is something I don't use enough. I definitely should use it more. The filter delay is pretty cool. Gives you a lot of stereo flexibility in a pretty interesting way. I like the sound of that one. I think this is another one that I pitched down because it has these weird screeching frequencies that like you just couldn't hear them before pitching down. It has a cool little bit crushing sound in the background too, if you listen closely. It's very cool. Very, very cool sounding. Let's see. So I do have everything going into, or almost everything going into a sidechain compressor. I think is going off the thuds. So we get some extra oomph to the thuds, compressing everything around them. Then towards the very end, finding some way to end tracks is always, or is very frequently, a problem for me. Especially tracks like this where it's not, there isn't some like story to it. Like for example, with my track Inability to Comply, which it would be a fun video to make. That was the first track I made since I got Ableton, so that was a trial because I was struggling to learn Ableton while also making this track. So that was a tricky experience, but a track like that, it kind of has a natural end, whereas a track like this, these are just not natural exactly, they're all man-made, but these are just recordings of these unhearable sounds that are everywhere. So there isn't really a natural end, but I come to a general length that I want the track to be, and then kind of put everything I want into the length of that track, and then I'll figure out some way to end it. And this, I didn't want it to be super flashy or anything. This does have a lot more like raw recordings than I usually use. I usually have a lot of effects on things, so it suddenly getting like super effect driven wouldn't really fit. But having the grain delay, having kind of like everything collapse and crumble with the grain delay, it is a departure from the rest of the track, but I think it fits pretty well. But that was as best as I could do for finding a way to end the track. But anyway, I think that's about it for this one. Not really that much to discuss. Not like no sound design. I wasn't making any synthesizers or anything for it. It's just recording. But it was cool to talk about the Soma Ether, which is a very, very interesting device that I'll definitely use more in the future. Yeah, I think that's about it. I would like to do a track for... Oh, okay, no, I have kids next, so I think I can do that. Let's see. Yeesh. Maybe I did that on my other computer. I'll have to look. I have a lot of computers, but I have a laptop with Ableton, and sometimes I work on tracks on that on the go. So it's possible I made my next track going backwards, Kids in the Lurking Shadow, on that computer. Yes, I think I did. So what I might have to do for that is pack it up from that computer and then transfer it over to this one and record it from here. But yeah, I'll do that. That's a very fun track. That's a more typical track for me in terms of complexity and kind of progression of the track. So that'll be fun to do. Anyway, see ya.